Gun violence in the United States results in tens of thousands of deaths and injuries annually. In 2013, there were 73,505 non-fatal firearm injuries, 23.2 injuries per 100,000 U.S. citizens, and 33,636 deaths due to injury by firearms, 10.6 deaths per 100,000 U.S. citizens. These deaths consisted of 11,208 homicides, 21,175 suicides, 505 deaths due to accidental or negligent discharge of a firearm, and 281 deaths due to firearms use with undetermined intent. Of the 2,596,993 total deaths in the U.S. in 2013, 1.3% were related to firearms. The ownership and control of guns are among the most widely debated issues in the country. In 2010, 67% of all homicides in the U.S. were committed using a firearm. In 2012, there were 8,855 total firearm-related homicides in the U.S., with 6,371 of those attributed to handguns. In 2012, 64% of all gun-related deaths in the U.S. were suicides. In 2010, there were 19,392 firearm-related suicides, and 11,078 firearm-related homicides in the U.S. In 2010, 358 murders were reported involving a rifle while 6,009 were reported involving a handgun. Another 1,939 were reported with an unspecified type of firearm. Firearms were used to kill 13,286 people in the U.S. in 2015, excluding suicide. Approximately 1.4 million people have been killed using firearms in the U.S. between 1968 and 2011, equivalent to a top 10th largest U.S. city in 2016. Falling between the populations of San Antonio and Dallas, Texas. Compared to 22 other high-income nations, the U.S. gun-related murder rate is 25 times higher. Although it has half the population of the other 22 nations combined, the U.S. had 82% of all gun deaths, 90% of all women killed with guns, 91% of children under 14 and 92% of young people between ages 15 and 24 killed with guns. In 2010, gun violence cost U.S. taxpayers approximately $516 million in direct hospital costs. Gun violence is most common in poor urban areas and frequently associated with gang violence, often involving male juveniles or young adult males. Although mass shootings have been covered extensively in the media, mass shootings in the U.S. account for a small fraction of gun-related deaths, and the frequency of these events steadily declined between 1994 and 2007, rising between 2007 and 2013. Legislation at the federal, state, and local levels has attempted to address gun violence through a variety of methods, including restricting firearms purchases by youths and other at-risk populations, setting waiting periods for firearm purchases, establishing gun buyback programs, law enforcement and policing strategies, stiff sentencing of gun law violators, education programs for parents and children, and community outreach programs. Despite widespread concern about the impacts of gun violence on public health, Congress has prohibited the Centers for Disease Control, CDC, from conducting research that advocates in favor of gun control. The CDC has interpreted this ban to extend to all research on gun violence prevention, and so has not funded any research on this subject since 1996. Gun ownership. The Congressional Research Service in 2009 estimated there were 310 million firearms in the U.S., not including weapons owned by the military. Of these, 114 million were handguns, 110 million were rifles, and 86 million were shotguns. In that same year, the Census Bureau stated the population of people in the U.S. at 306 million. Accurate figures for civilian gun ownership are difficult to determine. While the number of guns in civilian hands has been on the increase, the percentage of Americans in American households who claim to own guns has been in long-term decline, according to the General Social Survey. It found that gun ownership by households has declined steadily from about half, in the late 1970s and early 1980s, down to 32% in 2015. The percentage of individual owners declined from 31% in 1985 to 22% in 2014. However, the Gallup organization has been performing similar polls for the same interval, and finds that household ownership of firearms was approximately the same in 2013 as it was in 1970 to 43%, and individual ownership numbers rose from 27% in 2000 to 29% in 2013. Pew found that fewer Americans are dying as a result of gun violence. In 1993, there were 7 homicides using firearms for every 100,000. By 2013, that figure had fallen to 3.6. What the Pew research does not account for, though, is that household firearms ownership hit a high again in the 1993 to 1994 timeframe, where household gun ownership exceeded 50% according to Gallup polls. The Gallup polls further show that household firearm ownership currently exceeds 40% and that the long-term trend is a sharp decline in polling for stricter gun control laws. Lastly, Gallup polling has consistently been over 65% against, when asking whether there should be bans on possession of handguns. Gun ownership figures are generally estimated via polling, by such organizations as the General Social Survey, GSS, Harris Interactive, and Gallup. There are significant disparities in the results across polls by different organizations, calling into question their reliability. In Gallup's 1972 survey, 43% reported having a gun in their home, while GSS's 1973 survey resulted in 49% reporting a gun in the home. In 1993, Gallup's poll results were 51%, while GSS's 1994 poll showed 43%. In 2012, Gallup's survey showed 47% of Americans reporting having a gun in their home, while the GSS in 2012 reports 34%. In 1997, estimates were approximately 44 million gun owners in the United States. These owners possessed approximately 192 million firearms, of which an estimated 65 million were handguns. A national survey on private ownership and use of firearms, NSPOF, conducted in 1994, indicated that Americans owned 192 million guns, 36% rifles, 34% handguns, 26% shotguns, and 4% other types of long guns. Most firearm owners owned multiple firearms, with the NSPOF survey indicating 25% of adults owned firearms. In the U.S., 11% of households reported actively being involved in hunting, with the remaining firearm owners having guns for self-protection and other reasons. Throughout the 1970s and much of the 1980s, the rate of gun ownership in the home ranged from 45 to 50%. Rapid increases in gun purchases characterized by exceptionally large crowds accruing at gun vendors and gun shows is consistently observed due to the possibility of increased gun control following highly publicized mass murders. Gun ownership also varied across geographic regions, ranging from 25% rates of ownership in the northeastern United States to 60% rates of ownership in the east-south central states. A Gallup poll, 2004, indicated that 49% of men reported gun ownership, compared to 33% of women, and 44% of whites owned a gun, compared to only 24% of non-whites. More than half of those living in rural areas, 56%, owned a gun, compared with 40% of suburbanites and 29% of those in urban areas. More than half, 53%, of Republicans owned guns, compared with 36% of political independents and 31% of Democrats. One criticism of the GSS survey and other proxy measures of gun ownership is that they do not provide adequate macro-level detail to allow conclusions on the relationship between overall firearm ownership and gun violence. CLEC compared various survey and proxy measures and found no correlation between overall firearm ownership and gun violence. In contrast, studies by David Hemenway and his colleagues, which used GSS data and the fraction of suicides committed with a gun as a proxy for gun ownership rates, found a strong positive association between gun ownership and homicide in the United States. Similarly, a 2006 study by Philip J. Cook and Jens Ludwig, which also used the percent of suicides committed with a gun as a proxy, found that gun prevalence increased homicide rates. This study also found that the elasticity of this effect was between plus 0.1 and plus 0.3. Self-protection. The effectiveness and safety of guns used for personal defense is debated. Studies place the instances of guns used in personal defense as low as 65,000 times per year, and as high as 2.5 million times per year. Under President Clinton, the Department of Justice conducted a survey in 1994 that placed the usage rate of guns used in personal defense at 1.5 million times per year, but noted this was likely to be an overestimate. Between 1987 and 1990, McDowell et al. Found that guns were used in defense during a crime incident 64,615 times annually, 258,460 times total over the whole period. This equated to 2 times out of 1,000 criminal incidents, 0.2%, that occurred in this period, including criminal incidents where no guns were involved at all. For violent crimes, assault, robbery, and rape, guns were used 0.83% of the time in self-defense. Of the times that guns were used in self-defense, 71% of the crimes were committed by strangers, with the rest of the incidents evenly divided between offenders that were acquaintances or persons well known to the victim. In 28% of incidents where a gun was used for self-defense, victims fired the gun at the offender. In 20% of the self-defense incidents, the guns were used by police officers. During this same period, 1987 to 1990, there were 46,319 gun homicides, and the National Crime Victimization Survey estimated that 2,628,532 non-fatal crimes involving guns occurred. McDowell's study for the American Journal of Public Health contrasted with a 1995 study by Kleck and Gertz, who found that 2.45 million crimes were thwarted each year in the U.S. using guns, and in most cases, the potential victim never fired a shot. The results of the Kleck studies have been cited many times in scholarly and popular media. The methodology of the Kleck and Gertz study has been criticized by some researchers. Suicides. There were 19,392 firearm-related suicides in the U.S. in 2010. The U.S. Department of Justice reports that approximately 60% of all adult firearm deaths are by suicide, 61% more than deaths by homicide. In the U.S., firearms remain the most common method of suicide, accounting for 51% of all suicides committed in 2006. One study found that military veterans used firearms in about 67% of suicides in 2014. Firearms are the most lethal method of suicide, with a lethality rate 2.6 times higher than suffocation, the second most lethal method. In the United States, access to firearms is associated with an increased risk of completed suicide. A 1992 case control study in the New England Journal of Medicine showed an association between estimated household firearm ownership and suicide rates, finding that individuals living in a home where firearms are present are more likely to commit suicide than those individuals who do not own firearms, by a factor of 3 or 4. A 2006 study by researchers from the Harvard School of Public Health found a significant association between changes in estimated household gun ownership rates and suicide rates in the United States among men, women, and children. A 2007 study by the same research team found that in the United States, estimated household gun ownership rates were strongly associated with overall suicide rates and gun suicide rates, but not with non-gun suicide rates. A 2013 study reproduced this finding, even after controlling for different underlying rates of suicidal behavior by states. A 2015 study also found a strong association between estimated gun ownership rates in American cities and rates of both overall and gun suicide, but not with non-gun suicide. Correlation studies comparing different countries do not always find a statistically significant effect. 30. A 2016 cross-sectional study showed a strong association between estimated household gun ownership rates and gun-related suicide rates among men and women in the United States. The same study found a strong association between estimated gun ownership rates and overall suicide rates, but only in men. During the 1980s and early 1990s, there was a strong upward trend in adolescent suicides with guns as well as a sharp overall increase in suicides among those age 75 and over. David Hemenway, professor of health policy at Harvard University's School of Public Health, and director of the Harvard Injury Control Research Center and the Harvard Youth Violence Prevention Center, stated, "Differences in overall suicide rates across cities, states, and regions in the United States are best explained not by differences in mental health, suicide ideation, or even suicide attempts, but by availability of firearms. Many suicides are impulsive, and the urge to die fades away. Firearms are a swift and lethal method of suicide with a high case fatality rate. There are over twice as many gun-related suicides than gun-related homicides in the United States. Firearms are the most popular method of suicide due to the lethality of the weapon. 90% of all suicides attempted using a firearm result in a fatality, as opposed to less than 3% of suicide attempts involving cutting or drug use. The risk of someone attempting suicide is also 4.8 times greater if they are exposed to a firearm on a regular basis, for example, in the home. Homicides. According to the FBI, in 2014, there were 8,124 total firearm-related homicides in the U.S., with 5,562 of those attributed to handguns. The Centers for Disease Control reports that there were 11,078 firearm-related homicides in the U.S. in 2010. The FBI breaks down the gun-related homicides in 2010 by weapon. 6,009 involved a handgun, 358 involved a rifle, and 1,939 involved an unspecified type of firearm. In 2005, 75% of the 10,100 homicides committed using firearms in the U.S. were committed using handguns, compared to 4% with rifles, 5% with shotguns, and the rest with unspecified firearms. In the United States, states with higher gun ownership rates have higher rates of overall and gun homicides, but not higher rates of non-gun homicides. Higher gun availability is positively associated with homicide rates. There is evidence, however, that gun ownership has less of an effect on rates of gun homicide than it does on gun suicide. In the U.S. in 2011, 67% of homicide victims were killed using a firearm, 66% of single-victim homicides and 79% of multiple-victim homicides. In the 19th century, gun violence played a role in civil disorders such as the Haymarket Riot. Homicide rates in cities such as Philadelphia were significantly lower in the 19th century than in modern times. During the 1980s and early 1990s, homicide rates surged in cities across the United States, see graphs at right. Handgun homicides accounted for nearly all of the overall increase in the homicide rate, from 1985 to 1993, while homicide rates involving other weapons declined during that time frame. The rising trend in homicide rates during the 1980s and early 1990s was most pronounced among lower-income and especially unemployed males. Youths and Hispanic and African American males in the U.S. were the most represented, with the injury and death rates tripling for black males aged 13 through 17 and doubling for black males aged 18 through 24. The rise in crack cocaine use in cities across the U.S. is often cited as a factor for increased gun violence among youths during this time period. Prevalence of homicide and violent crime is higher in statistical metropolitan areas of the U.S. than it is in non-metropolitan counties. The vast majority of the U.S. population lives in statistical metropolitan areas. In metropolitan areas, the homicide rate in 2013 was 4.7 per 100,000 compared with 3.4 in non-metropolitan counties. More narrowly, the rates of murder and non-negligent manslaughter are identical in metropolitan counties and non-metropolitan counties. In U.S. cities with populations greater than 250,000, the mean homicide rate was 12.1 per 100,000. According to FBI statistics, the highest per capita rates of gun-related homicides in 2005 were in Washington, D.C., 35.4/100,000, Puerto Rico, 19.6/100,000, Louisiana, 9.9/100,000, and Maryland, 9.9/100,000. In 2017, according to the Associated Press, Baltimore broke a record for homicides. In 2005, the 17 through 24 age group remains significantly overrepresented in violent crime statistics, particularly homicides involving firearms. In 2005, 17 through 19-year-olds were 4.3% of the overall population of the U.S. This same age group accounted for 11.2% of those killed in firearm homicides. This age group also accounted for 10.6% of all homicide offenses. The 20 through 24-year-old age group accounted for 7.1% of the population, while accounting for 22.5% of those killed in firearm homicides. The 20 through 24 age group also accounted for 17.7% of all homicide offenses. Those under age 17 are not overrepresented in homicide statistics. In 2005, 13 through 16-year-olds accounted for 6% of the overall population of the U.S., but only accounted for 3.6% of firearm homicide victims, and 2.7% of overall homicide offenses. People with a criminal record were also more likely to die as homicide victims. Between 1990 and 1994, 75% of all homicide victims aged 21 and younger in the city of Boston had a prior criminal record. In Philadelphia, the percentage of those killed in gun homicides that had prior criminal records increased from 73% in 1985 to 93% in 1996. In Richmond, Virginia, the risk of gunshot injury is 22 times higher for those males involved with crime. The likelihood that a death will result is significantly increased when either the victim or the attacker has a firearm. For example, the mortality rate for gunshot wounds to the heart is 84%, compared to 30% for people who sustain stab wounds to the heart. The U.S. is ranked 4th out of 34 developed nations for the highest incidence rate of homicides committed with a firearm, according to Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, data. Mexico, Turkey, Estonia are ranked ahead of the U.S. in incidence of homicides. A U.S. male aged 15-24 is 70 times more likely to be killed with a gun than their counterpart in the G8, largest industrialized nations in the world, United Kingdom, France, Germany, Japan, Canada, Italy, Russia. In a broader comparison of 218 countries, the U.S. is ranked 111. In 2010, the U.S. homicide rate is 7 times higher than the average for populous developed countries in the OECD, and its firearm-related homicide rate was 25.2 times higher. In 2013, the United States firearm-related death rate was 10.64 deaths for every 100,000 inhabitants, a figure very close to Mexico's 11.17. Although in Mexico firearm deaths are predominantly homicides, whereas in the United States they are predominantly suicides. Although Mexico has ostensibly strict gun laws, the laws restricting carry are often unenforced, and the laws restricting manufacture and sale are often circumvented by trafficking from the United States and other countries. Canada and Switzerland each have much looser gun control regulation than the majority of developed nations, although significantly more than in the United States, and have firearm death rates of 2.22 and 2.91 per 100,000 citizens, respectively. By comparison, Australia, which imposed sweeping gun control laws in response to the Port Arthur massacre in 1996, has a firearm death rate of 0.86 per 100,000, and in the United Kingdom the rate is 0.26. In the year of 2014, thousands of Americans were killed by guns. There was a total of 8,124 gun homicides. In 2015, there were 33,636 deaths due to firearms in the US, while guns were used to kill about 50 people in the UK. More people are typically killed with guns in the US in a day, about 85, than in the UK in a year. Some studies have been conducted which suggest that the concept of guns can prime aggressive thoughts and aggressive reactions. In an experiment performed by Berkowitz and Lepage in 1967, this weapon's effect was examined. Ultimately, when study participants were provoked, their reaction was substantially more aggressive when a gun was visibly present in the room as opposed to a more benign object like a tennis racket. Other similar experiments like those conducted by Carson, Marcus Newhall, and Miller yield similar results. Such results imply that the presence of a gun in an altercation could elicit an aggressive reaction which may result in the committing of a homicide. However, such a reaction has only been proved in an experimental setting, and there is no evidence that suggests this would be true in a practical or realistic setting. Mass shootings. Deadly mass shootings have resulted in considerable coverage by the media. These shootings have represented 1% of all deaths using gun between 1980 and 2008. Although mass shootings have been covered extensively in the media, mass shootings account for a small fraction of gun-related deaths, and the frequency of these events had steadily declined between 1994 and 2007. Between 2007 and 2013, the rate of active shooter incidents per year in the U.S. has increased. The frequency in which mass shootings occur depends upon definition. In recent years, the number of public mass shootings has increased substantially, even though there has been a massive decrease in gun-related deaths. Studies indicate that the rate at which public mass shootings occur has tripled since 2011. Between 1982 and 2011, a mass shooting occurred roughly once every 200 days. However, between 2011 and 2014 that rate has accelerated greatly, with at least one mass shooting occurring every 64 days in the United States. In Behind the Bloodshed, a report by USA Today, said that there were mass killings every 2 weeks and that public mass killings account for 1 in 6 of all mass killings. 26 killings annually would thus be equivalent to 26/6, 4 to 5, public killings per year. Mother Jones listed 7 mass shootings, defined as indiscriminate rampages in public places resulting in 4 or more victims killed, in the U.S. for 2015. The average for the period 2011-2015 was about 5 a year. An analysis by Michael Bloomberg's Gun Violence Prevention Group, Everytown for Gun Safety, identified 110 mass shootings, defined as shootings in which at least 4 people were murdered with a firearm, between January 2009 and July 2014, at least 57% were related to domestic or family violence. This would imply that not more than 43% of 110 shootings in 5.5 years were non-domestic, though not necessarily public or indiscriminate. This equates to 8.6 per year, broadly in line with the other figures. Other media outlets have reported that hundreds of mass shootings take place in the United States in a single calendar year, citing a crowd-funded website known as Shooting Tracker, which defines a mass shooting as having 4 or more people injured or killed. In December 2015, The Washington Post reported that there had been 355 mass shootings in the United States so far that year. In August 2015, The Washington Post reported that the United States was averaging 1 mass shooting per day. An earlier report had indicated that in 2015 alone, there had been 294 mass shootings that killed or injured 1,464 people. However, an article from Russia Today stated that 42% of the incidents involved 0 deaths, and 29% 1 death. Shooting Tracker and Mass Shooting Tracker, the 2 sites that the media have been citing, have been criticized for using a criterion much more inclusive than that used by the government. They count 4 victims injured as a mass shooting, thus producing much higher figures. Handguns figured in the Virginia Tech Massacre, Binghamton shootings, 2009 Fort Hood shooting, Oikos University shooting, and 2011 Tucson shooting. The Aurora Theater shooting and the Columbine High School massacre were committed by assailants armed with multiple weapons. Accidental and negligent injuries. The perpetrators and victims of accidental and negligent gun discharges may be of any age. Over 120 children 15 years old or younger were killed in gun accidents in 1998. Accidental injuries are most common in homes where guns are kept for self-defense. The injuries are self-inflicted in half of the cases. On January 16, 2013, President Obama issued 23 executive orders on gun safety, one of which was for the Center for Disease Control, CDC, to research causes and possible prevention of gun violence. The 5 main areas of focus were gun violence, risk factors, prevention/intervention, gun safety, and how media and violent video games influence the public. They also researched the area of accidental firearm deaths. According to this study, not only have the number of accidental firearm deaths been on the decline over the past century, but they now account for less than 1% of all unintentional deaths, half of which are self-inflicted. Violent crime. In the United States, areas with higher levels of gun ownership also have higher rates of gun assault and gun robbery. U.S. presidential assassinations and attempts. At least 11 assassination attempts with firearms have been made on U.S. presidents, over 1/5 of all presidents. 4 were successful, 3 with handguns and 1 with a rifle. Abraham Lincoln survived an earlier attack, but was killed using a .44 caliber Derringer pistol fired by John Wilkes Booth. James A. Garfield was shot 2 times and mortally wounded by Charles J. Gouteau using a .44 caliber revolver on July 2, 1881. He would die of pneumonia the same year on September 19. On September 6, 1901, William McKinley was fatally wounded by Leon Czolgosz when he fired twice at point-blank range using a .32 caliber revolver. Despite only being struck by one of the bullets and receiving immediate surgical treatment, McKinley died 8 days later of gangrene infection. John F. Kennedy was killed by Lee Harvey Oswald with a bolt-action rifle on November 22, 1963. Andrew Jackson, Harry S. Truman, and Gerald Ford, the latter twice, survived assassination attempts involving firearms unharmed. Ronald Reagan was critically wounded in the March 30, 1981 assassination attempt by John Hinckley, Jr. with a .22 caliber revolver. He remains the only U.S. president to survive being shot while in office. Former President Theodore Roosevelt was shot and wounded right before delivering a speech during his 1912 presidential campaign. Despite bleeding from his chest, Roosevelt refused to go to a hospital until he delivered the speech. On February 15, 1933, Giuseppe Zangara attempted to assassinate President-elect Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who was giving a speech from his car in Miami, Florida. Although Roosevelt was unharmed, Chicago Mayor Anton Cermak died in that attempt, and several other bystanders received non-fatal injuries. Response to these events has resulted in federal legislation to regulate the public possession of firearms. For example, the attempted assassination of Franklin Roosevelt contributed to passage of the National Firearms Act of 1934, and the Kennedy assassination, along with others, resulted in the Gun Control Act of 1968. The GCA is a federal law signed by President Lyndon Johnson that broadly regulates the firearms industry and firearms owners. It primarily focuses on regulating interstate commerce in firearms by largely prohibiting interstate firearms transfers except among licensed manufacturers, dealers, and importers. Other violent crime. 1/4 of robberies of commercial premises in the U.S. are committed with guns. Fatalities are 3 times as likely in robberies committed with guns than where other, or no, weapons are used, with similar patterns in cases of family violence. Criminologist Philip J. Cook hypothesized that if guns were less available, criminals might commit the same crime, but with less lethal weapons. He finds that the level of gun ownership in the 50 largest U.S. cities correlates with the rate of robberies committed with guns, but not with overall robbery rates. He also finds that robberies in which the assailant uses a gun are more likely to result in the death of the victim, but less likely to result in injury to the victim. A significant number of homicides are the consequence of an unintended escalation of another crime in which firearms are present, with no initial intent to kill. Overall robbery and assault rates in the US are comparable to those in other developed countries, such as Australia and Finland, with much lower levels of gun ownership. A strong association exists between the availability of illegal guns and violent crime rates, but not between legal gun availability and violent crime rates. Offenders. Considering mass shooting alone, 4 people shot dead in a public place, nearly all were male. About 47% were white, 12% black, and 6% Asian, 1982 to 2016. However, this definition of mass shooting is contested by some. The mass shootings have represented 1% of all deaths using gun between 1980 and 2008. Vectors. In 2015, Arizona State University researcher Sherry Towers said national news media attention is like a vector that reaches people who are vulnerable. She stated that disaffected people can become infected by the attention given other disturbed people who have become mass killers. Victims. African Americans were 55% of the victims of gun homicide in 2010, but 13% of the population. Non-Hispanic whites were 25% of victims but 65% of the population in 2010. Hispanics were 17% of victims and 16% of the population in 2010. According to the U.S. Bureau of Justice Statistics, from 1980 to 2008, 84% of white homicide victims were killed by white offenders and 93% of black homicide victims were killed by black offenders. Public policy. Public policy as related to preventing gun violence is an ongoing political and social debate.
Please subscribe and thanks for watching.